Hey YouTube, it's the Ruby Radio here, and today I'm going to be doing a review on the single player half of Medal of Honor. Now, a little bit ago I did a review on the multiplayer half, so I thought I'd finish it up and do the single player part. Right now I'm just going to have the first level of the campaign in the background to show you guys a little bit of what the single player is like and how it's a lot different from the multiplayer. Anyways, going on to the pros of the game, I thought that it was very realistic and the places you were in are real, and it really gives you that feel that you're a soldier in the army. And I really can't stress that enough, because the whole point of what they were trying to get across to make it different than other first-person shooters, where they were trying to make it really realistic. And I thought that the game was really realistic on some parts, but then others it seemed like you could pretty much just rush through the whole level without really trying. But there were very few of those. Trying to think of one of the levels right now. I can't really remember the name of it, but there's only about 2 or 3 that I can think of that you pretty much can just rush through it. But the thing about the campaign is that although it is very real, it does feel like he kind of ripped off of Modern Warfare 2 a lot. It has that Modern Warfare 2 feel to it, and once in a while, if you play the Modern Warfare 2 campaign, you'll see something, and then you'll be like, didn't that happen? Didn't that pretty much the same exact thing happen in Modern Warfare 2? Like, in Medal of Honor, the second to the last level, you fall out of a plane, and then your guy gets up, he's all groggy, he lost his gun because it fell out of the plane with him, and he doesn't know where it is, so all you have is your knife, and he's all groggy, and he's tipping over and stuff, and the same exact thing happened in Modern Warfare 2, except, you fell out of your boat, and stuff like that, but all you had was your knife, just like in Modern Warfare 2, and he's all groggy and tipping over and stuff, and I thought that was a really bad ripoff. But I thought Medal of Honor, it made that part of the game a little bit more fun, because that level was more of being stealth, because you're all by yourself at first, and then a little bit later on in that mission you find your teammate that fell out of the plane with you, and then you and him are both pretty much being stealthy through the whole mission. And I won't give too much away, because at the end of that mission, it has to do with the storyline, but that mission is one that I remember a lot, and I thought it was a really, really good mission, but it seemed like it ripped off of Modern Warfare 2 pretty badly. Another pro on this game is you were able to actually lean around corners. There are really not many first-person shooters that lets you lean around corners, which I really love, and I think that needs to be in the majority of first-person shooters to actually put some tacticalness in the game, and so you don't have to expose your whole body, and then you're pretty much just getting mowed down. But the way that they did it in Medal of Honor is they made it so you had to hold down the left bumper or the L1 button, and you had to hold that down, and then you could lean. So I thought it felt kind of weird when I had to zoom in on the sights, because then I had to push both buttons down, because the way I play is I just use my pointer finger for the L1 and the R2, or the right trigger, or left, my bad, left, the left trigger, but yeah, I just use my pointer finger for those two, which probably isn't the most efficient way to do it, but it just feels awkward for me to use my pointer and middle finger to use those two buttons. But, I really couldn't see any other way on doing it, except for maybe I wish it was you had to press the button and then press it again to go in and out of the lean mode, which I thought would have been better, instead of making you hold the button down, so it didn't feel so awkward to me. But that might be able to be changed in the control settings, but I'm pretty sure it's not possible. But yeah, that's actually a really good pro. There are only about a couple, maybe 2 games that I can think of right now that has the lean ability, and that is SOCOM and Medal of Honor Airborne. which is the previous game to this one. So, I think that's what they wanted to bring back, was that leaning ability from Medal of Honor Airborne. But Airborne did a really bad job at it because you could only lean when you zoomed in on your sights. So that means you couldn't walk back or forth when you were zoomed in on your sights. All you could do was lean. So the leaning was nice in that game, but when you couldn't move when you really needed to when you were zoomed on your sights, all you could do was hip fire while moving. Otherwise you were pretty much screwed because you couldn't zoom in on your sights and move, because all you do is stand in one spot and lean. So I thought they did a lot better job by making the L1 button to lean than in the previous Medal of Honor Airborne game. Another pro about this game is your teammates actually help you quite a lot. Your teammates, we'll go on to Modern Warfare 2 again, like I often do when I'm comparing first-person shooters, because Modern Warfare 2 is such a big thing. Your teammates, there weren't many of them, but on the levels where you had to be teamwork-based, they were very good when it was just two people doing a special ops mission. Your teammates helped you a lot. But on other missions where you were just a regular soldier or whatever, teammates didn't do jack shit. You were pretty much a one-man army. But in this game, no matter what, your teammates are always helping you. No matter if you're a 5-man team or if you're a 2-man team, they always do very good. And sometimes when you're trying to get achievements, they can kind of get in the way by killing some of the people that you want to kill to get whatever achievement you're going for. Like the 7 headshots in a row, that's one of the achievements. I don't know if it's a trophy on PS3, but I know it's an achievement on the 360. But if you get 7 headshots in a row without a sniper, with any gun but a sniper, and sometimes my teammates would kill the guy that I was trying to shoot in the head to get that achievement for, and it ended up screwing me up a lot of times. But yeah, your teammates actually help you a lot, which is good in some parts, especially if you're doing the campaign on hard or even medium. It gets pretty hard on some parts. But yeah, that is a really nice thing, because some games, they just suck with teamwork based. I know Airborne did a decent job with it, but a lot of times you were still a big one-man army because the people on your team, they weren't very smart. They wouldn't go behind cover. They'd end up killing guys sometimes, but they would never go behind cover, so they'd always end up dying, which kind of sucked. Another pro is you have a couple of vehicles that you can actually drive in the campaign. I know there's a level that lets you fly in a helicopter, and that level was really fun. I enjoyed that level a lot. That level is probably one of my favorite levels in the whole campaign, considering how I can't really think of any games that lets you fly in a helicopter except for the upcoming Black Ops, but that's not even out yet. So the ability to fly in a helicopter is really, really nice, and I thought it was a lot of fun just blowing everything up. And I know there's another level that lets you drive ATVs around to go from destination to destination. I thought the ATV driving was really, really realistic, because I drive four-wheelers sometimes on the weekends with my family, and when I was playing the game, it had that same feel to it when I was driving the four-wheelers, so I thought that was really nice that they actually tried with the realism in the four-wheeler driving. Like, every little thing in the terrain would start making your four-wheeler bump all around and kind of make the four-wheeler jerk into a certain direction. So it was actually really nice that they actually put a lot of realism into the four-wheeler level, and that was actually a really good thing to me. Another thing that's a pro that in the campaign is that on a couple levels, actually, the majority of the levels, you were able to call in airstrikes and AC-130 attacks and whatnot, and that's some fun too. Just to sit there and start calling in air support and watching everything just blow up and just make total chaos for the enemy team is just a lot of fun. It's always nice to see the explosions. I thought that the explosions were very nice and realistic looking, and it's so cool to see some of the explosions in the game because they're so realistic and awesome to watch. just seeing this big of rubble and everything else just flying through the air after an explosion is really awesome just to watch. Well, that's about it for the pros. Moving on to the cons now. The online graphics are different than the single player. Now, that isn't a bad thing for the single player. Actually, that's a bad thing for the multiplayer, and I wish I would have thrown that into the multiplayer review instead of this. The online graphics, I can kind of understand to fit 24 people, I believe, into one match. You can't have really good graphics, but the graphics just suck very, very, very bad compared to the single player. The single player graphics are really, really good. I wouldn't say that it is the best I've seen, but it is amazing compared to other games. Especially going from multiplayer to single player, you really notice the graphic change and the things that they added, such as like more weapons actually that you don't get to use in the multiplayer that you get to use in the single player, and some of the attachments on your gun look a lot better. Like, I know on the first level you get an ACOG scope, and you're probably looking at that scope right now. It looks a lot better in the single player than it does in the multiplayer half. So I thought that they did a really good job with making the graphics a lot better on single player. And this game, another con about this game is that it has less free roam than Medal of Honor Airborne, and that was kind of disappointing me. The really problem with this game that I noticed is that there are so many invisible walls. There are a ton of invisible walls. The paths are really, really linear on some parts of the game, just extremely linear, and there are so many invisible walls that sometimes it just kind of made the game a little, I don't know, it felt like I was kind of trapped at points, because it was like so many invisible walls. It's like I'm trying to get away from a bad guy, and I see a little opening. I'm like, oh, I want to go into that opening and get behind that thing so I can actually take some cover, but there's an invisible wall there. So then you end up dying because of the invisible wall, because you don't have anything to cover behind. So that's one thing that I kind of noticed a problem with, was invisible walls. And Airborne, the cool thing about that was that it was about the most free roam first-person shooter I ever played so far, and I thought that they might have brought it back in this game, but there's pretty much no free roam ability whatsoever. Unlike in Airborne, you pretty much follow your teammates in a linear path, and then you do the objectives. Although it is a lot of fun, that's just a really big con to me, was the invisible walls and linear paths. Because if you go back to Airborne, there wasn't a problem with either of those. So I thought maybe that they should have done something with that, considering how the single player of this game was made by EA Los Angeles, or now they changed it to Danger Close. They made both Airborne and the new Medal of Honor. So I thought maybe I was hoping that they would have put that free roam ability back onto this new Medal of Honor, but I guess that they just saw it better to take it off. Overall, I give this game, for the single player half, an 85 out of 100. The single player was really good and a lot of fun, but the linear paths and the invisible walls and some of the knockoff things with Modern Warfare 2, that's really got to me. Otherwise, this game probably would have gotten a lot higher. If it had the free roam and it wouldn't have knocked off so bad, I probably would have given it a 95 or something. But pretty much took 5 points off for knocking off Modern Warfare 2 on a couple parts, and 5 points off for linear paths and invisible walls.